Hi, my name's Kate Amory and today I'm going to talk to you about another question related to data governance and privacy. This one is about Lineage and how we discover it and import it into Axon, our data governance tool, which is where we will govern it and we will link it up to business context so that you can get the most value possible. Now, there's two elements to this lineage discussion that we need to think about. There's kind of the technical view, the technical lineage, and then there's the business lineage, which is more consumable for business users. So we're going to talk about both. First up, the technical lineage. Now, this is something that we would discover with our enterprise data catalog, provided we were able to scan the source, the target, and the mappings that relate the data together. Now, we can scan a whole host of different solutions and technologies, and if you want the details of which we can, which we're best at, all of that information, you should have a look at our product matrix. Our PAM is available for you to review and on the community. But in order to get that lineage in, we are doing the scanning of these systems, so both the source and the target, and the links between them. And that's how we're going to derive lineage and understand it from a technical perspective. Now, that's going to give you a lot of very specific detail, and it's not something that necessarily your average business user is going to want to see to that level of detail. They might want to see a slightly simplified version. So if we think about Axon lineage, or what we sometimes call business lineage, it's a little bit different. The differences are subtle because, as you see here, it may just be that there's a slight difference from the MDM system being described as 1 instead of 2, or such information as the name of the system being the way the business would describe it rather than the technical. If we do want to bring this technical lineage in exactly as it was in EDC, we can do this with auto onboarding. But because of these subtle differences, and because the business don't necessarily want to see the level of detail and information that EDC has discovered, we advise as a best practice to actually manage the linking. You can still scan and you can still import, but rather than automatically just bring in everything that EDC finds, we suggest you do some curation along the way. For instance, that MDM example here, in a curated lineage, we would see potentially these two systems that contain a more technical view, a staging area, will actually only be seen as one in Axon, because all that the business are interested in is that there is a master data management solution whereby the data is being mastered and cleansed. We don't need to necessarily know the breakdown of that solution in Axon. There are a few differences in lineage such as this, and you can always use both and build up both from either side. So if you're starting with a top-down approach, you can still describe lineage and you can build systems in Axon and connect them with interfaces and define the attributes which are passing from system to system, just from the information you have from the corporate memory and the knowledge of those in the firm. You can then link that up to what is discovered in EDC and validate and prove what you have known to be the lineage anyway. This is where the two come together and you meet the logical lineage, the business side of things, the business expectation with what's actually going on under the covers. And it's worth doing both sides, pulling this information together, and then you can traverse either way depending on what kind of user you are. However, it needs to be borne in mind that if we just scan everything in EDC and we bring in everything we discover, we are not necessarily going to create a lovely business-friendly tool that's going to engage our stakeholders and drive them to be more engaged and responsive to our governance requests. So that curation process, that intermediary step where you think, is this actually going to engage a business user? Is this necessary for me to govern? Is a really important one for you to consider. Thank you very much.